The Dot Experiment is the only way to go. Call them today, 404-259-1343, or you can email them at support@thedotexperiment.com for a free consultation. Don't waste your money buying tech stuff and tech software that you don't understand and don't know how to use. Contact the Dot Experiment, the professionals in fixing all your stuff, man. So before you buy that cell phone, before you get that computer, contact the Dot Experiment. It's the only way to go. I'm telling you, that's how we rolling over here.
Give it to me, do it to me, give it to me. Don't stop, don't stop, don't stop, don't stop. The way you make me.
Do you like music like this? That's right, I'm asking you. Do you like music like this? Then why have you not been to Sophisticated Saturday as yet? That's right, each and every third Saturday of the month, we call it Sophisticated Saturdays. Where we keep it at? Caribbeanlifetv Studios. 6254 Memorial Drive is the only place to be each and every third Saturday of the month. So if you want to celebrate your birthday, if you just want to come hang out and have some fun with grown people having big fun, Sophisticated Saturdays is the only place to be. It's brought to you by yours truly, DJ Reds, and my boy, Mr. B. Sophisticated Saturdays, every third Saturday of the month, 6254 Memorial Drive is where the grown people go and have good, clean fun. Every third Saturday of the month, man. The way you make me feel, I'm just going to have fun. I'll see you there, Sophisticated Saturdays. I got you. It's all about Caribbean International Shipping. That's right. Do you need more information on shipping your items to the U.S. Southeast region or to the Caribbean? Have you ever heard of Caribbean International Shipping? You shop, they pack, and ship. They also offer residential pickup services. Support our business, like, share, and call. For your barrel shippings, let us know. The number to call is 470-718-9675 on WhatsApp or 770-323-1111. Caribbean International Shipping, the only way to send your stuff to the islands.
Are you feeling stuck in life? Are there obstacles holding you back from your full potential? If so, I've got something special for you. Join me Saturday, May 4th from 12 to 1 for the launch of my new show, Just a Thought. I'm your host, Jeffrey, and we're going to tackle the tough issues that get in the way of living our best lives. This isn't just about venting. We're diving deep to find real solutions. Tell your friends, spread the word, and tune in on Saturday. Let's journey together towards a better, unstoppable you.
Greetings, family. Welcome to the Alkebulan radio show. And that is confirmation. This show is live-vacated to one of our esteemed elders, Baba Yoga Bey, who made his transition to becoming an ancestor on Thursday, May the 2nd, which was also National Prayer Day. And as we always do and as we should do, we first and foremost will give thanks and praises to the Almighty Creator. So we give thanks to the Almighty Creator for all the things that we have in our life. We give thanks for the breath of life. We give thanks for family. We give thanks for community. We give thanks for things that are not seen, like love, support, grace, and mercy. We give thanks for our ancestors who came before us to pave the way to make it possible for us to see a better day and to know better days that they prayed for and imagined for us. We give thanks for our elders and their wisdom, and we ask that they feel honored and that they know that their place within our family, within our village is much needed and much desired. We give thanks for the youth and for all those who are yet to come, and we pray and acknowledge and we claim that we are building a better world for them to be in and to inherit from us. And we give thanks for all of those who are listening over the airwaves. And we ask that there be protection and covering and favor for all of us and our families. We ask that we are inspired to activate the God power within us and for us to remember that we are the divine, that there is a divine light that is shining in each and every one of us. And we have a responsibility and an opportunity for immense possibilities for us to change the world by our thoughts, our words, and our deeds. And with that, we claim all things are possible through the Most High. And we say, Amen, Ashe, Aho. And so it is. And so today, we are very fortunate to have in the studio my young brother, Quaylen.
Hey,
Quaylen B., who is a poet, a social activist, and an entrepreneur. He is also one of the young brothers who has inspired and poured into my sons, and they're here in the studio today. Shout out to the Soul Brothers who have agreed to co-host with me, and I'm very proud and honored to say that they were the ones that made it possible for us to have you on our show today. And we also have one of our former guests who will also be a future guest, Rashiwara, who decided to be behind the scenes, but he is a force to be reckoned with. Today is May 4th, and as my sons would say, may the force be with you. And we are grateful for the men who are showing up in our lives, because he also is one of the brothers who is very supportive of my sons as well. And today's segment is called Impress the Empress. And we always start out with affirmations. And today, my desire is to affirm the men who are in the room. Shout out to DJ Rez for being a constant support and just always being consistent and showing up. So what I would like for you all to do, whether you say it out loud or to yourself, and this is not gender-based, but I do want to just honor the men that are here. I am a powerful reflection of divinity.
I am a powerful reflection of divinity.
I am a leader and a lion in my own right.
I am a leader and a lion in my own right.
It is my destiny and my inheritance to be abundant and prosperous.
It is my destiny and my inheritance to be abundant
and
prosperous.
That was a long one. I show the world my greatness with every breath that I take.
I show the world my greatness with every breath that I take.
I stand tall, for it is my legacy to be a king.
I stand tall because it is my legacy to be a king.
Or queen.
Or queen.
For the sisters listening. And then with that, I will also say, I am more than enough.
I am more than enough.
I am a conqueror.
I am a conqueror.
And I am victorious.
I am victorious.
In every area of my life.
In every area of my life.
And so it is.
And
we lift up our men as we lift up our women. One of the concerns that I have, which is how we met, is that we are calling for our men to gather, to build each other up. And I notice for women, socially, it has been made easier for us to do certain things. We have our barbershops. We have the basketball courts or the football field, which we call soccer in America. So there are places where men gather. But to have those places to speak, like the Black Man's Lab, and what Brother Rashiwara is building, it's super, super important for men to be edified. And oftentimes, it's like we don't acknowledge that men are supposed to feel. It's like okay for men to cry. It's okay for you to feel. And it's okay for us to check in on our men. And men and women can have healthy relationships without it being a physical relationship. And we are brothers and sisters, no matter who your birth parents are. And by treating each other as such, we do have to check in on our brothers as much as we check in on our sisters. And I just want to start the show as that because Spirit has inspired me to do so. And I feel honored to be in the space with powerful men because I have known powerful men my whole life, from my daddy and my granddaddies to my uncles and brothers. And whenever there has been a time where someone has said to me something that was negative or derogatory, I have always dismissed it, stomped it on the ground, chewed it up, spit it out. Like, I know that we have fantastic men. And because I've always held space for that, it seems that always I've seen it, but in this season it has been multiplied in magnitude, that there and it's been magnified, that the men who are showing up, y'all are the real superheroes of the world. So, Brother Quaylen, welcome. And please introduce yourself. And I am here because I am very impressed with you. And this is Impress to Empress. I've always been impressed with you, and then I've learned recent things that were even more impressive. So I give you the microphone. Pass you the talking stick.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I'm impressed by that introduction. That was incredible. I love the affirmations. I love the prayer. But like she said, my name is Quaylen Bobbitt from Lithonia, Georgia. Poet, entrepreneur, activist, brother, son, leader, teacher, student, all of the above. And I'm just appreciative to be here on this platform. I appreciate you holding space for the men. I appreciate the men in this room. I'm able to learn from the youth. I'm able to learn from my elders. So I'm just really excited to be here, and I'm excited for the conversation.
Awesome. So originally when I met you last year, I was impressed by your lyrics. And I like the fact that you call yourself a poet, because we live in a time where either our youth want to be athletes or they want to be rappers. And they don't even recognize that rapping is poetry. The last poets, shout out to our elders who really, set the foundation for the rap and the hip hop culture, for that genre to even exist. But it was a radical manifestation of words. It was a call to action. And so for you, I felt like when I met you, you were actually living up to that legacy of what my children are holding space for. They say they want to deal with positive lyrics. They want to deal with uplifting music. Ras Chiwara as well has that energy. And I do want to say that when I spoke to you on the phone, Quaylen, Ras Chiwara was calling on the other line. And I don't believe in accidents. I knew that Spirit was telling me as a connector that I was supposed to connect the two of you. And I was so happy that Rashiwara, he's always passionate about his purpose. So he was like, yes, I want to meet the brother. And I was like, okay, well, at the end of the show. And he was like, what time does it start? So I want to acknowledge how important it is that we show up for each other. And I give thanks that he was not like, yeah, I'll check him at the end. No, I'm going to hold space for you all. And energy is so real. And the energy in this room right now is like electric. And it is the puzzle pieces that we all have connected together that make it so. So even when people are behind the scenes, who's ever listening on the airs, we don't recognize how much we impact and influence each other just simply in our presence. So that's something I tell my sons. Sometimes even when we're dragging it, I'm like, we have to show up. Yeah. And they showed up on Monday at the Black Man's Lab. Yeah. And we had church up in there. It was just powerful. We didn't leave until 9:30 that night. We were the last people there. And I've been telling Rashiwawa about the Black Man's Lab, and David and Andrew, they're always promoting it. And so when we spoke, we were talking about having you on the show because they presented the floor to you at the Black Man's Lab on Monday. And the conversation was, you can share, but David and Andrew were so impressed. They were like, Mom, you have to have them on the show. So originally it was the music, and I'd like to talk about that later. But then it was this good news, because you are a Morehouse graduate. Shout out to all historically black colleges and universities, Atlanta University Center. And something huge happened to the class of 2019. And the topic of today's show is, what does real philanthropy look like? And I also want us to recognize, as our guest said last week, that money is energy, we are energy, so we are money. And so philanthropy is not always just doling out money. It's the way that Rashiwara showed up today. It's the way that you've poured into my sons and allowed them to be in the studio laying tracks with you. So it's different levels of philanthropy. But I do want you to speak about this huge thing that, I've been telling people you were coming on the show, and they're like, yeah, we remember that. It was like breaking news. But just tell us a little bit about your experience as a college student and that big news that happened that day and how it's impacted you and how you felt about it, if you will.
Absolutely. So I'll just share about how I started off going to Morehouse because, like I said, I'm from Lithonia, Georgia. I had no intentions of staying in Georgia because I'm like, I've been here my whole life. I'm going to move out of the state, And having to be like a spring break or whatever it was, my mom, brother, and I just happened to go downtown. It was like, we're down here. We might as well take a tour of Morehouse. Why not? Mind you, in my head, I thought that Morehouse was like some all-male school in the middle of the woods or something like that. Did not know it was in downtown Atlanta. So we go, we're on campus. It's just the three of us on the tour. I'm walking around. I'm seeing some people in suits, and I'm like, I could definitely rock a suit better than them. Come on now. And then,
I love your confidence.
Absolutely. So then I'm continuing to walk on campus. They're talking about some of the alum. I'm like, oh, wow, my granddad was marching with Dr. King. Oh, wow, Samuel L. Jackson, and a few other, like, awesome names. I'm like, okay, cool. And then we're walking. We're on the same sidewalk. And he's like, yeah, and then we're on Clark Atlanta's campus. And I'm like, yo, what are you talking about? Like, this is a tour of Morehouse. What is Clark Atlanta? What do you mean we're on their campus now? And then at the end of the tour, he was like, and across that gate is Spelman. And I was like, I've definitely heard of them. I'm going to throw my application in. I'm going to see what happens. And ended up going. One of the greatest decisions that I've made because I was relatively shy all the way up until about the 10th, 11th grade when I finally started talking.
Way.
I kid you not. I was either reading, eating, or sleeping because I did not have to talk to people to do those. But I just ended up being able to explore a little bit more like who I am. I remember this organization that was on campus, NGAP, Next Great American Poet. And I was able to see all the awesome artists that was involved in that. And, like, people were able to go up, and they would always have, like, these open mics. People are just doing all this crazy, awesome work, memorized, got the crowd engaged. And I eventually got the confidence to be like, you know what, I want to go. So I went up there, I had my notebook, and I was able to just read it. And it was good. They liked it. And then I was like, no, I want to have mine memorized because I've seen how they can interact with the crowd and do the eye contact and all that stuff. So then I got the confidence to have a piece memorized and go up there. And then before I went on, I took my glasses off before I went on stage. They didn't know I was blind, but like they're thinking I'm making eye contact. They don't know. I don't know if you're in the front or the third row. But I was able to go. They loved it, and that just helped boost my confidence from there with the spoken word, and then just being able to grow my skill from there, and just the people I was able to meet, the person I was able to become. I was a Bonner Scholar while I was on there, so that was a lot of volunteering that we were able to do on that front. That was a volunteer-based scholarship, so I was able to do all kinds of stuff in the community on that front. And then once I left the campus, that's when I realized how large the Morehouse alumni group is because I had no idea what I was walking into. Like I said, I went on there because I saw people rocking suits and there was girls. And I was like, that's different than what I was expecting it to be. But just the network that I was able to walk into, the person I was able to become and just see what I was capable of. And then it was funny because, well, it's funny now. At that time it wasn't. But I was supposed to graduate in 2018.
Okay.
I found out the week of senior week that I had to retake a class. That wasn't offered until spring of 2019. So that year in between 2018 and 2019, it was rough. I was still able to do some things on campus, whether it be volunteering with the moot court team and starting some organizations with my safe word and some things of that nature. And I was still able to move the way I needed to get some stuff done. I was able to work at Topgolf. I was a bar back during that time. So
sounds fun.
It was fun, but it was rough, like mentally at that time. But I was still able to find a way to move and shake and bake because that was how I was going to pay for the class and things of that nature. And then spring of 2019 rolled around, I was able to pass the class, and in 2019, that was the year that Robert F. Smith paid off all the student loans for the class. Mid speech, he's like, and we're going to pay it forward. We're going to put a loan to make sure that all of you all's loans are paid for. That ended up being like $40 million that this man paid off mid-speech. Nobody knew he was going to do it.
$40 million, family. You hear that?
Insane. I'm trying to tell you.
Yes, real philanthropy. I got tongue twisted.
Listen, and it's funny because there was like a delayed reaction in the audience, and I feel like the parents in the back with the Parent Plus loans, they knew what that meant before the people in the front. So like you hear the cheering, it's like a wave coming from the back, and it was just a beautiful thing. And before graduation ended, you're seeing this on like news networks and things of that nature all over the place. And then I'll just show you how the spirit works, because the graduation was on Sunday. On Monday, I ended up on a radio show with WAOK with Derek Bozeman. I don't even really know how they found me, honestly. But I'm on that show, my mom and I, and Attorney Davis called in. And he was like, oh, I hear you're interested in law. You should come to the Black Man Lab. I'm like, cool. When does it start? Monday at 6:30. Mind you, we're downtown. It's like 6 o'clock. I'm like, it's Atlanta traffic. How in the world? But we ended up making it and going. And he was like, thanks for coming. Awesome. Come to my law firm tomorrow. I'll start you with a summer internship. So it was like graduation Sunday, the radio, and the Black Man Lab on Monday. Tuesday, I had an internship at Davis Bozeman Law Firm. And so that summer, I was working at Davis Bozeman Law Firm. I was going to the Black Man Lab. And that's how I even found out about the Black Man Lab, because of that gift in 2019. So
wow.
It's beautiful.
I love the full circle. So one thing that comes to mind for me is like, we don't even expect that type of goodness. And when you said like people, it was like quiet, like people, did he really say that? And I recently found out that Robert Smith is a big benefactor for National Cares Mentoring Movement as well. And he's like one of their largest contributors for the gala. I was speaking about it yesterday, and someone brought that to my attention. And so I also felt that divine timing and divine order was really important to point out that you were supposed to graduate beforehand, and what looked like a misstep, or what some people could think, oh, I messed up, I didn't. Well, it's like that in life, where the Creator has a certain plan for our lives. And no matter how much we kick and scream and fuss and fight about it, when we look in hindsight, we're like, oh, that's why it happened like that. Oh, okay. I see you, Creator. And so it's so important to walk in faith and not by sight, because it's like I tell my sons, we make lemonade from lemons. We don't deal with, oh, I made a mistake, or, oh, it's bad timing, because everything always works out in our favor as long as you hold space for that and you walk the walk. It falls into place. So to me, that's a perfect testimony that you were able to be the class of 2019. You weren't even expecting to go to Morehouse. You just, showed up for spring break. You showed up, you didn't give up, and you did that class spring semester. You pushed through. And I can imagine, I do this to myself, so I probably am projecting a little bit. But sometimes I'll like talk to myself. That's why I need affirmations, because I would have been like, you should have studied more if I hadn't worked 3 jobs. Still working 3 jobs, but, so in that time, though, you still showed up. And then how in the world can you make it in 30 minutes to the Black Man's Lab? You still showed up. Then you get a summer internship. So again, this theme about showing up is so important, even when it looks difficult. And then I even think about our ancestors and even our elders, like how grandparents show up, how the Rosh Hashanah, the brothers showing up here today, to make this connection. It's so important to show up. Yeah. Because beautiful things happen when we allow ourselves to be in this space and the place. And so that's really an exciting story. That was like huge for me to know someone who had that experience, and to know that it was blessing upon blessing upon blessing. And what doesn't look like a blessing is still a blessing. You get lessons and you get blessings. So to me, the lesson is still the blessing. And so it's like, wow, what I thought was like, oh, I'm being delayed, was actually to push you and propel you forward to a higher place. And so my cousin, Phoenix, she says, what we think is rejection is God's protection. So you may have felt, oh, my gosh, my date for 2018 was, I was rejected from that date. Well, it was God's protection to bring you to a place. And it's a domino effect, because you pour into my children's life, and the goal is for you to build a new relationship with another brother who has aligned values with you to pour into you. And so there is a level of philanthropy that exists where, yeah, that's big money. That's like $40 million. I can't even fathom the wealth that this man must have to be able to gift in that way. But then you were also a Bonner Scholar. I'm a little familiar with that program, but not too much. I know that it's volunteer based. And so to give is to be philanthropic. And so it is also reciprocity. As we give, we receive. So the energy that you're putting out into the universe, wanting to do good things, using your voice with poetry. I love what you said about you used to be shy and you went to college and you came out. So I'm like David and Andrew. Do you all have anything that you would like to ask? Because they are co-hosting with me today for the first time. And thank you for not being shy on the air. Would you like your own microphones? Who would like to say something? You want to say something yet? Okay, here. Use this one. Thank you.
One thing I'll say is, as someone who goes to the Black Man's Lab, what is one of the favorite things that you had from going to Black Man's Lab?
One of my favorite things from going to the Black Man Lab, I would say the relationships I've been able to build, because prior to, I did not realize how often I see these people all over the community, whether it's at a grocery store or just out in the street or at a volunteer event or at a festival. I'm seeing these men all over the place, and it's really cool to be able to make that connection, be like, hey, how you doing? You know, it's just a beautiful feeling. And then also because all of these people have stories, and I'm learning from everybody. Like, every time that I'm talking to David and Andrew, like, they're teaching me everything about music, and I'm just always soaking it in. So I'm always excited about that. The older people, I'm able to learn from their experiences. Even the children and their energy, I'm able to learn from them, and they're telling me things that's going on. I'm learning new words every day. So it's just beautiful on that end. And I had even started bringing a notebook to the Black Man Lab, because we have different conversations every week, personal development and then professional development. And with the conversations alternating and just being whatever it may be, there's so many different subject matter experts that I'm like, I have no idea about this in art. Oh, I had no idea this with entrepreneurship. I had no idea that this was going on in the legislature. I had no idea this was going on in whatever field is going. So I'm able to take notes, and I have pages full of notes and contacts and just gems that they were able to drop that I just could not remember otherwise if I was just trying to just sit there and listen to it. So that's the most beautiful part for me, the network that I've been able to build because of what they've been able to teach me and who I've been able to talk to and learn and connect with now when I go out in the community.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I can relate to that. So, are you complete, David?
Yes.
All right, good question.
And the question I'm gonna ask is, so how did you get started in your journey in poetry?
So that is a really good question. So I got started in my journey in poetry because, like I said, when I was young, I was always reading, and I took a creative writing class. I remember it being in like the 7th grade. My mom says that she remembers something in like the 4th grade. I can't say I remember that though. And it was funny because when I found out, oh, I can write these things that I'm creating as well. Like, people creating whole characters and stories. And like I said, I wasn't really talking to anybody. So I found it way easier for me to express myself via writing than it was to like talk to somebody, because then I could really, I can share my emotions. I could say how I'm feeling. If I think this is funny, I'm gonna write it down because I think it's funny. I don't care if anyone else thinks it's funny because I'm seeing it. And so it started then in about the 7th grade that I remember. And then by the time I got to high school, I was writing those anonymous love notes and put them in lockers. I wasn't signing it, but like I would know if they seen it if they came into class. They don't know I'm in their next class, but it's like, oh, you have the paper in your hand, so I know you got it. Or you coming in and smiling and talking about it? Yeah, you'll never know it was me, but that's how I got started. And then, like I said, when I got to Morehouse, that's when I started taking my poetry into spoken word. And then from working with the Black Man Lab and the album we put out, that's when it went from poetry and spoken word to now I ended up rapping on 4 of those songs as well, because they was like, we have some extra beats and we need some people to hop on them. And I was like, well, I've never gone to the beat in someone else's head. It's usually the one that's in mine. Sure, I'll try it. So that's just how that progression has gone. It started off with me just writing because, hey, cool, this is the assignment that we have in class and I'm liking it. So now I'm journaling, and then it's like the love notes, and then it's the spoken word, because now I'm comfortable at least enough to share it, even if I can't see anybody. Then it was comfortable enough to share it while looking at people. And then now it's all right, cool. Now I'm on a beat, and now I'm able to do poetry and spoken word, and it's pretty cool. It's interesting calling myself a rapper sometimes, but poetry is my first love, so that's why I always introduce myself as a poet.
I like
So,
that. I like that. I want to give thanks to Noni and Sister Cherie Scott for listening. They are listening through Facebook. And I love the questions. Great job, David and Andrew. And I also am curious about your music journey. You have 4 songs out?
yes, well, I'm a feature on 4 songs on the Black Man Lab album. One of my other friends, he has a song out that I was a feature on as well. So I don't have a song out that's just me. That's in the works though, so I'm really excited for that project. I'm also working on a reparations album. So
Wonderful.
listen, and I just think that all the albums that I've been on have been really good works. The songs that I've been able to meet, the people I've been able to meet on those projects have been awesome, and I'm
Okay.
excited to work on these new projects because, like I said, those were my first times in the studio, and so I'm just learning and just seeing the process. I'm like, this is incredible. I love being around these creatives. So I'm working on some new songs. I'm working on some poetry album. There's a lot of things that's in the works. So yeah, I'm just really excited to go back to the studio, get those started, and do a lot more open mics as well, just because there's a lot going on in the city all the time, and I want to be able to find some of those events and be able to just pop up, spit, make sure I'm still good, and then connect with even more artists that might be able to be a feature on something. Because I can't sing, so I need singers, and I'm not good at playing the different instruments, so I'm able to find people to do that and be able to make the beats and the engineering. Because I know my role, I'm good at the poetry, and I can spit bars, but you don't want to hear me singing. I can't play these instruments. I can't mix and master these tracks, but I'm able to find the people in these different spaces with other creatives that can do that. So I'm really enjoying that aspect of it as well.
Okay. So how long have you been doing the music? Because it sounds like it's more recent.
Yeah, so I'd say it started it was funny. It started in 2020 during the pandemic. I was sitting in my room and I was like, hey, these poems that I have, I want to make like a visual concept for it. Not necessarily a music video because it's not a song, but it's like I want a visual concept for my album or for my poetry. And around that same time, that's when Attorney Davis reached out to me and said, hey, I wrote a book and we want some young people to read it and create from it. And I'm like, okay, cool. So then that was my first time reading and hopping in the studio with all these other creatives. And now I'm able to see people who's been in the studio for years and some people who are brand new. And there were some people who do poetry, and there were some people that sing, and there were some people who rapped, and there were some people who made beats. And so that was my first time just seeing it as a collective, and I was like, it was really easy to just stay in my role, but also still learn what everybody else is doing. What does the producer do? All right, cool. So this is how you mix and master. All right, cool. So this is what happens when you're going into the studio. Okay, cool. And just seeing how the whole song creation process, what that looks like. And like I said, I was just features on those songs. So now I'm excited to be able to go from being a feature to having a song that has a feature to having my own song to having a whole project out and just seeing what it looks like in those different roles in different areas.
Yes.
So that just journey, it started in about 2020, and I'm just excited to see where it goes.
Well, the key to a lot is imagination. And I could just tell from like your facial expression, your body language, your hand motions that you're already imagining it. I think about a couple of weeks ago, we were listening to like some metaphysics, Neville Goddard, and Neville Goddard was talking about imagination being the base of all manifestation. And so we always talk about like if you can see it, then you can achieve it. We grew up, with that saying. And a shout out to Mr. Eric Pass for listening as well. He just gave you a shout out on Facebook too. And I know that my sons, they were really influenced by coming up to the Castleberry Studios. You all came up there and laid out a track. I'm trying to use like musician jargon. And there's a song that, well, it was 4 songs. It was one song. It was like really, really upbeat, and the message was just on fire. All of the songs had positive messages in it. But then I didn't realize it was like, it's called We Need You, and it is the official version for the Black Man's Lab. So I didn't even realize that, you went from starting at the Black Man's Lab after graduating, interning with them, and then even promoting them with their music. So it's just a very good thing when we are able to use all of our talents for good. And so I love the fact that even though I met you one way through music, I'm learning all these different things about you through, being interested in law. We definitely need our people in every area of society, government, every place, so that we can have conscious people who have a heart and they're not just in it for the money. So I feel like that when I meet musicians who, they are promoting positive messages, and it's not about selling their soul, just for, the fame or the accolades. And so I do want to play that song, We Need You. And
The anthem?
yes, the
Yeah.
anthem.
Yeah.
And I do want you all who are listening over the airwaves to really listen to the words, because it's so appropriate, and that's what good music does. It never goes old. It's always appropriate.
Absolutely.
All right, check it out.
The jail booth became a confessional, full of admitted sins, forgiveness, and answered prayers. In the midst of his ramblings about how and why he could do better, I heard myself mumble, "Brother, we need you."
Look, I use my color to be hopeful for change, cause if I alter altercations, my just go through a change as well, cause time will tell about the scale of worth, cause earth is so for really. Pride only constitute the wealth that's helping approach my ceiling, feeling the strain inside the very veins that I bleed through, while searching through pain and sinking, thinking people, we need you, We need you. We need you. We need you. We need you.
Everybody come along and join the party. Only reason we can walk is cause our elders started. If you with it, then come with it, cause we dropping knowledge. Make our mamas and our babas proud with what they taught us.
I have been vocalizing my pain, took a second to realize it. Acknowledge what people say, but be peeping who be about it and talk like they know what they want. We need you and you need us, because our people are one. DK, yeah.
Yes, I hear you, elders speaking to me. Open in my spirit, my ancestors speaking through me. Confidence will never waver, cause I'm blessed and highly favored. Yes, my melanin is popping and it adds a little flavor.
Change comes at your own pace, I'm in my own race. Trying to change the world, but it gotta start with home base. We need you to be an individual. Look, we see you, you are not invisible.
Yeah, hands up, complying, but now my people dying. Spirits flying, but keep it on trying. Tell the truth, powered by the youth. Speak the dream they sold to you.
We need you. We need you. We need you. We need you.
I make it happen like never before. I put this up from the floor. They wanna close my door. Black skin, black coat. Racist, systemic. But my past authentic. My past is genetic. Black people majestic.
We ain't banging, but I swear we all blood. Black love, showing to each other, hey, we rise above. Gotta do it for the older generations that went through. Ain't new to it, feel of a bad plan that we get into.
It's in the notes, in the lips, it's in the curls. That's something different for the boys and girls. It's in the way I wear my clothes and how I walk. Get out of superficial, it's the way I talk my talk.
We need you. We need you. We need you. We need you.
Yes.
That is the We Need You anthem on the We Need You album by the Black Man Lab. Like me, like you, like you, like you, like you, Black Man Lab. Check that thing out. That's on YouTube. You can find that on YouTube. You can find it on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you listen to music. We got it there for you. Go ahead, check that thing on out.
I love that shout out. You are a natural on radio and TV, okay?
Hey, man, I'm just excited. It's the energy you talked about. I'm just excited being with the people, and the questions are good and the conversation is good, so it makes it easy.
Yeah. So that song, to me, it just really, it's touched on so many different things. Like, be an individual. We call it sheeple. Don't be like sheep. I see it so much. Like sometimes when I'm driving, I'm like, why is this long line right here, people? And then it's another lane and nobody's in it but me and maybe one other person. Like, we have to be leaders in our own right, and being an individual and not being so, influenced by the world. And I like when it says, like, we see you, you're not invisible. And I think that's so important from whatever aspect of society we're in, from our elders to our youth, that everyone has a voice, and that voice really needs to be heard. And sometimes it's just that simple eye contact. You know, in our culture, you just give somebody a nod. You know, I think it's unnatural to walk past a person and not even give them eye contact. Like, that is like a thing for me. I speak to people sometimes and they don't speak back, and I'll be like, good morning, or maybe not so, because they don't say anything. But I just think it's important that we acknowledge people in this space. I mean, we do it with little babies. I do it with animals. I see an animal. My dad used to say that you can acknowledge a dog on the street and you can't even speak to the next person, and we say we love God. You know, and it makes me think about neighbors who don't speak to each other. I love my neighbors, and, you know, sometimes it doesn't always feel like, sometimes you be like, oh my gosh, my neighbor, or, you know, the neighbor that's like holding you to be more of a neighbor. But it's like, love thy neighbor as thyself. You got to see your neighbor, know your neighbor to love your neighbor. So this whole thing about us not speaking to each other and, you know, not knowing the people around us, not acknowledging, when it was like, we see you're not invisible, that came up for me. But I like how it was talking about the ancestors and the downloads, because sometimes I meet people and they just have it in their DNA, you know, like an ancestral memory, like your gifts, like who was a poet in your lineage that you may not know about, who was advocating for social justice and equal rights and, you know, change on the planet, and your bloodline that you may not know of. And so this thing is real about our DNA and having an ancestral memory. They even talk about us through the slave trade with post-traumatic slave syndrome instead of post-traumatic stress syndrome. Dr. Joy DeGruy talks about that, and how in our memory, in our ancestral memory, in our DNA, we're still responding out of that trauma. So it's so important for us to recognize that our ancestors actually have embedded knowledge in us. You know, some people, they have it with plants where they could just go out and they know like what to eat, what not to eat. So we have it. And just the whole thing, we need you. Like, a lot of people don't recognize that they have value, that they are important. Like, we need each and every person on the planet, or you wouldn't be here. You're born to do something. And so I don't know if you have any poetry you want to spit.
Oh, of course.
But before we wrap up, we have a next show starting at 12 noon. Shout out for the new host of a show, Brother Jeffrey. His show is called Jeffrey Speaks, Just a Thought. And so sometimes we run over. We will not be doing that today. I've been so spoiled by Caribbean life in that way. But we do want to honor everyone and our family, Caribbean life, and beyond that. But I do want you to be able to, and I won't say but, I'll say and, I do want you to be able to share your lyrics. I'm super impressed by you knowing it by heart. And I grew up where elders, they would just speak poetry. You know, they would just get up. We would have like little things. Somebody would sing. Someone would, you know, do poetry. And it was always our elders. And they talk about, you know, dementia and Alzheimer's today. And I remember our elders, they used to get up and do poems and, you know, have hymns and stuff, scripture, just everything by heart. So I really liked how you went from reading it out the notebook, and then you was like, oh no, I want that engagement with the audience and the eye contact. So before we close out, the Soul Brothers are gonna play on the African thumb piano, which is also called the kalimba, which Earth, Wind and Fire, Maurice White, made it very popular here in the Western Hemisphere. And then we also have another brother who, his name is Kevin Spears, and he is this generation's kalimba player, if you all want to check him out as well. And then the Soul Brothers for the next generation. So your poetry, and then we're going to close out with the kalimba, and we're going to be closing out on time to honor our next show.
I'm here for it. So because the title of this one was Impress the Empress, I'm going to do one that's centered around moms. I ended up doing this one for creating it for my mom on Mother's Day. So here's what I want. When I say, Mama, guess who made it? I want you to respond with, my baby, okay?
Okay.
So let's try it out. Mama, guess who made it?
My baby.
Mama, guess who made it?
My baby.
That's right. Mama, I made it out. Mama, I made it through. Mama, I'm tried and true. I do it for you. All those nights you cried and knew no one knew. Mama, I made it for my bros. So they know they've got a good role model in me. I'ma dot my I, cross my T. So when I say mama, guess who made it?
My baby.
You know what I mean? And when I'm stressed, I think how you did more with less. Yes, I rewind that line in the back of my mind of what you said. You told us do what you gotta do. So you can do what you wanna do. That was true. We had seen it through. And now, mama, guess who made it?
My baby.
You know, I always wondered, would you still call us that once we were grown and taller than you? And yeah, we're grown, we're taller than you, and I'm realizing we're always going to be babies to you. And even though you raised 2 sons, you really raised a few sons, and anyone who wanted to use that mama title, know it came with no confusion. They better watch their mouth. They better show respect. Those grades better not fall south. And y'all gonna help clean this house. Now, anyone agreeing to those terms and conditions, congratulations. You qualify for mama benefits and repercussions. And for those that did not read the fine print, know that includes more than just some cussing and fussing. Mama, you were there at our award shows. You were there at our games. You were there first day of school. We're like, Mom, go away. Now, you were not there when we were out and about, which is probably for the best, might I add. That's fine. You were there praying for our safety and letting us know that you are welcome home at any time. I love and uplift and respect queens today because for my entire life, I have seen what just one queen can do. So when I say mama, guess who made it?
My baby.
Your baby could not have made it without you.
Okay. That was excellent. Round of applause. Yes, fire, fire. And then next Sunday is Mother's Day, so it's pretty cool to have that as a tribute today. That was so beautiful.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
I did that one. I did that one for you and for all the moms that's gonna be listening and tuning in, and for my mama. I love you too.
Yes, and we give thanks for your mother for doing an outstanding job, and we always know that it's mother and father. But they always say, mama's baby, daddy's baby. So we give thanks for the mothers and for your mom. I love shouting out the mothers and the wives who support. And you have a beautiful queen in your life that I met. And she gave you that awesome ankh with Horus Eye on it for Black Love Day. And I just love when I see the youth and the mix. And, you know, they know that it's healthy and the natural order of things for men and women to come together and build. Wise men know that with women, there is more wealth than without. So I give thanks for the example that you're setting for my children and the rest of the youth. And I hope that whoever's listening over the airwaves, that you have been inspired and activated to know that we all can be true givers. We all can be philanthropists, whether we have $40 million like Robert Smith, which to me, that's like true and real philanthropy at its highest, giving of your time, your energy, kind words, hugs, putting thoughts and prayers into the universe, not just for the people you know, but for the people who you don't know, because everyone doesn't have a mama praying for them. There are different ways that we can give, and it is better to give than it is to receive, we've been taught. And I also know the law of reciprocity. Whatever you give out, you will get in return. So please be inspired to be a better version of yourself. Shine your light brightly in the world. Touch somebody. Reach out and touch somebody. Just like last week, our guest said, reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place if you can. And then we're going to have the Soul Brothers play their African thumb piano, also known as the kalimba, considered to be one of the first instruments because it was easy to move around.